I really like it when I watch a movie where I have to kind of put the puzzles together. And maybe my read on a film is different from the one you have. Cultural aspects, for example, like maybe an American guy can see something in the film that I don't see. And I love that. I love that you only kind of start to understand what's going on in a secret agent after like an hour and a half of film. I was working on a soap opera in Brazil, and then camera guys were like, "Hey, man, just saw this film." When the film went to the subtitles place, someone there knew someone that was in the film, and I'm gonna show it to my cousin, and then it spread out. So everybody was watching. It was sold like on the streets of Rio de Janeiro, but it was very sad, right? Can you imagine for a filmmaker, like it was his first feature film, José Padilha, the director, it was his first feature film, and everybody was seeing the film. The film wasn't even ready yet in terms of color and sound and anything. But then the film went to the movie theaters, and it was a success. It's hard for me to say that the piracy helped the film. It's a very cruel theory, because it was really bad. I think they're very good films. The first one had a big controversy about like the far right in Brazil embraced the film. Like, this is it. This is how we need a police like that, and we need like to kill the bad guys. And I was very engaged in that discussion. I wrote articles to newspapers and like saying like, no, I don't think we're not endorsing it. No one says that Coppola endorses Michael Corleone. You don't control the narrative of a film. You might have an idea of what you want to do, but the reads that people are going to have on the film, they're different. And sometimes they are not what you expect. For me, Elite Squad was always a film about how the police and the state actually in Brazil operates. Because the police in Brazil doesn't exist to protect the citizen. It exists to protect the state. And the state chooses who their enemies are. And mostly their enemies are poor people that live in the favelas. But I like the films. I like both of them. And it's hard to have a sequel. And I think the sequel is as good as the first one. Basic Sanitation. Interesting enough, that film was a huge flop in Brazil when it was released. People said that it was because of the title. It's a very bad title for a film, which I kind of agree. I don't like the title of the film, but the film is great. I love that film. Such a smart, funny, that's the kind of comedy that I like. It was a huge cast. We were all friends, and Jorge Furtado is such a smart man, like to write funny dialogues. And it's a very interesting discussion about whether the state should fund culture. I think it should. And the funny thing about this film is that it was shot 2006. So it was exactly when I had my first son. My last day of shooting, we shot. I went home. I was happy. We went to a bar. We had, Fernanda, 3 a.m, my wife, she called me and she said, this baby is coming. And I woke up everybody, man. I woke up everybody in the hotel. I was like, I need to get it out of here right now. All the actors, the producers, the director, everybody making phone calls because it was hard to get like flights. I had to fly from Porto Alegre to Curitiba, from Curitiba to Rio de Janeiro. It was a huge scheme, like a huge thing for me to get out of there and see my son. I got to Rio, got to the hospital. 10 minutes after we had him. It was a very unforgettable day in my life. I was in a taxi and there was a big, huge traffic in Rio, and I was like, just leave my bags and whenever you see a hospital. And I was running, felt like a Hollywood film. Lazaro is my brother. I met him, I was 18, he was 16, and I saw him on stage in Salvador. One of these things, I couldn't stop looking at him. It was so crazy that I didn't know him. I went to the backstage and was like, I didn't know what to say to him. And I went backstage and I said, I want to be your friend. Can we be friends? And he said, yeah, let's be friends. And we became friends. And so we know each other for 30 years and we've worked together many times. He's coming now for the Academy Awards to be there. We are very close. He's the godfather of my son. I'm the godfather of his son. He's an amazing actor, a great actor, and a great human being. And then in 2003 or 4, We did this film called Lower City. It was Lazaro, myself, and Alice Braga, another great friend of mine. And that was a very important film for all of us. So we did this film, which is a beautiful film that takes place in Salvador, our hometown. It was after moving to Rio, it was Lazaro and I coming back to Salvador. And it was a moment where, when friendships are like, we're friends, we love each other, that's it. And going back to Salvador and working on this film together put us again together, like really like looking at each other it was a reframing of our friendship. And then we did O Paió, which is based on a play. And we have this scene when he delivers the speech of Shakespeare's speech in such a strong way. I remember that when we did it, I had the line that I had to say to him. After he said what he had to say, I just couldn't say anything else. It was so strong. So strong. Do you know what the scene I'm talking about? So strong. We've worked together so many times. I really missed working with Lazaro. Puss in Boots, yeah. I love that film. I didn't have any experience in doing voice for animations, and I think sometimes we lose the joy of what acting was supposed to be. But doing Puss in Boots, I was consciously saying like, go there and have fun, because as no one is really seeing you, there's no cameras on you, like you get less self-conscious about your performance. You just go and have fun. It was a wolf and everything, but I was trying different voices, saying like this and doing really crazy things, and we were having fun. Joe in general, who became very good friends of mine after Puss in Boots. After Puss in Boots, I remember that I was consciously like, whatever you do it like that. Go there and enjoy and have fun. And I really like that film. The importance of living your life fully, because death is a thing that really gives meaning to our lives. In the end, that's a very interesting character. It's not like the classic villain. It's someone that's there to teach something to Puss in Boots.
Can I get your autograph? Been following you for a long time.
I was also talking to Jafar Panahi. And Jafar, when we were in Telluride, he said, when I was in prison in Iran, this guard had a pen drive with some TV shows that he would put in there so the prisoners could see something. And the thing that I was really into, and the thing that he had in that pen drive, was Narcos. So I was like, Jafar Panahi was in a prison in Tehran watching something that this Brazilian dude did in Colombia. You know what I mean? Like these things, like for me, is like, yeah, it's like Ryan Coogler seeing the eye of a wolf in Puss in Boots and going like, that's how I want my vampires to look like. It's fascinating and it's great.
We're gonna kill every last one of you.
I think that Alex Garland is really, really a very bright and brilliant man. I think that in general that film should get more credit. The sound of that film is incredible. I remember reading the script of Civil War and thinking like, this is great. This is like so timely. Two discussions, like I think that throughout Civil War that I was very interested in having. One of them was about, of course, like the polarization and the aftermath of a polarized situation that could lead to social conflict, which is something that we are seeing here in the US and in other parts of the world. But also about journalism, the importance of journalism to the world. I think it's huge, and the crisis that this pillar of democracy, this institution, is going through right now, I think makes me really concerned. Kleber is a very unique writer and director. He doesn't really follow any rule of script writing. And like you said, he doesn't really spoon feeds the audience. The title itself, open to interpretations. I don't think that every director has to be a cinephile, but you can really see when one is. It's hard to juggle with the amount of references that Kleber deals in The Secret Agent is very impressive in terms of genres, cultural aspects, politics. Pirraça, there's no translation for that. Pirraça is when a kid keeps doing the wrong thing, even if their parents are saying don't do it, it keeps doing it. Mischief, I don't know if mischief translates that, but I don't think that there's another word. It's not a heavy word. I had to live under the skin of Armando, his father, in order to sort of play his absence when I was going to play the son. I myself was a little surprised of how that character came about, like the way he walked and talked, and he speaks with a very different accent. I'm not a fan of accents, but it was only one scene, so I was like, I'm gonna go for it. So I did like one scene with a very Pernambuco's accent, because when I play Armando, he's from Pernambuco, but I just like neutralize my own accent. And it's in the film, one of the characters say, that accent is not great. And it's like, you'll see. But the character is all about the absence of the father. When I think about that character, I don't think about myself. I think about the kid. I think about the little boy. And I think about the boy in a scene that's not in the film. I think about that boy waiting for his father to pick him up. I hate when people go like, what's the message of this? There's no message. You know, like people have different reads on the film. And sometimes they don't read the film the way you would like them to read. But I've been learning a lot about The Secret Agent that I haven't thought about that. That makes a lot of sense to me, especially in a film that doesn't deliver many answers. So the audience has to participate in it, which I really liked it.